Hey guys, I'm Steven here with Team Covenant, joined by
I'm Zach.
the one and only Zach, and we are looking at the new Trace Amount data pack for the Netrunner card game, and it looks great. They just got to feed us in a little cyber egg there with a little bullfrog on the back. So we're gonna bust into this thing now.
Now this is the second data pack, right?
Second data pack. This is a game that's just kind of getting started, honestly,
Absolutely.
and it's already like blowing my mind. All right, so get all that out of there. So we have blue and red cards. Good. That's what we want. Let's start out with the new Anarch cards. The first one is Vamp. And I love Anarch. So it's a zero-cost event. It's a run. Make a run on HQ. If successful, instead of accessing cards, you may pay X to force the Corp to lose up to X, then take one tag. Whoa. Whoa. That's like a choke strategy. Right there.
It is a choke strategy. You have to take a tag to do it, which is interesting. That could be really, if they're tight on money, and you don't want them resing ice, and maybe you've got a lot of money.
Right.
You make a run, you pay 10, they're out, and now they can't res anything. You're free to go on running that Corp. So that's interesting. I don't like taking a tag, but it's interesting.
Early game, it seems good. I don't know if it's something that I'd run because just the Corp usually has way more money than me as the runner. But yeah, if you can get them down where they can't res ice, maybe his forge activation orders, you can start really laying it out. Then we have another Anarch card, a resource, liberated account. It costs 6 credits. It says place 16 credits from the bank on liberated account when it is installed. When there are no credits left on it, trash it. And it takes an action to take 4 off of liberated account. So this is a souped up Armitage code busting given to the Anarchs. How nice of them.
That is very nice. Couple things to note, it does cost 6.
Yes.
So you can't play it right off the gate unless you gain a click. But it's 16 credits, which is...
You're taking 4 turns. The efficiency is much improved. The only issue is if you're even less into being tagged at that point.
Very into tag.
Because you don't want to invest 6 and then get tagged and have them check that resource. So
Absolutely.
Don't want that. So cool little resource for the
card.
Anarchs. Then we come to the criminals. We have a satellite uplink. Cost 2, and it's an event. You expose up to 2 cards.
So for infiltration fans out there, this is a big deal.
Are you not an infiltration fan?
I am not, man. We need to do a podcast about
this. But it was in your deck, man, at one point.
Well, it fits in certain decks, for sure. I prefer playing a deck that's more aggressive, and I see most of the cards anyway. In this case, these kind of players typically do like that kind of card. You reveal 2 for 2.
It's great, man. See some ice and whatever's behind the ice, and you're like, well, is it worth going for? I don't know.
I'd just rather go for it.
Then we have a 2-cost hardware for the criminals, E3 feedback implants. Whenever you break a subroutine on a piece of ice, you may pay 1 credit to break 1 additional subroutine on that ice. Okay, so in this card we have a criminal revolution, I think, right? I mean, this is the new thing that every criminal player is going to run. How do you not run this?
No, it's great. I mean, especially for the icebreakers that require, like, you pay 2 to break 2 or something, or pay 3 to break 1. Like, it's just ludicrous. In that case, pay 1 to break an extra 1.
That's right. Now, typically if you're breaking ice, you're going to get up to strength, and then it's going to cost you 1 pretty much across the board to break the next subroutines. Because almost all ice is like pay 1 to break X subroutine. But stuff like Hasbaya Road Ice, where you can break with an action and then just pay 1 to break all the rest, it makes this a really cool matchup for Criminal and HB. So,
well, and I think that card makes cards like any card that costs more than 1 to break a subroutine even better. I'm particularly thinking of...
is it Battering Ram?
Battering Ram, that pays 2 to break 2 barriers. A lot of barriers have 3. Or 5. But 3, and you have to pay 4 instead of paying 3 in this case.
That's
so
not bad. I mean, for 2, why not? Why not? Compromised employee, another criminal resource, has 1 recurring credit to use during traces, and it says gain 1 credit whenever the Corp reses a piece of ice.
Now that is a card that my Shaper deck wants.
It's only 1 influence,
which is awesome.
It's only 1 influence.
Recurring credit for traces. Traces are becoming a very big deal right now. But beyond traces, I mean, the average opponent's going to res, I don't know, 12 to 16 pieces of ice in a game?
If you let them.
Well, if you let them.
Might never get that far.
Anyway, so, I mean, if they res 10, you're paying 2 for 10 resources and a recurring credit.
And recurring credit. I mean, it seems like a really good card. I think we'll see this splashed pretty commonly It's good for my spinal
Solid,
motive
solid
deck
card.
because I'm getting traced all the time.
So now we get to my.
God, the art is so good.
It is. It is. What is this card?
Stupid. Just look at that art. This is a card called Notoriety. It's an event for the Shapers. It costs 1. Play only if you made a successful run on R&D, HQ, and Archives this turn. So you got to run all 3 central servers successfully. Then finally, add Notoriety to your score area as an agenda worth 1 agenda point.
So now this is something. For the first time,
Totally new thing.
the runner has a card that can be worth points, right?
Right. And the art.
The cost of this, though,
And
is
the art.
it's a card that costs a click that requires you to have made 3 successful runs elsewhere to score the point. So you're talking 4 clicks to score this because you've got to play the card, let alone the credit to play the card and the card draw itself. This isn't easy to pull off.
No. It's very hard. You know, you can hit Archives fine. You might hit Archives pretty easily. HQ, R&D.
Late game, this is not what you want to see.
No.
But
Are you rather going to have Notoriety or Maker's Eye? You know, like,
what if you had both?
what if you have both?
In a really aggressive deck, who protects their Archives these days?
I don't know.
Especially if you're playing Shaper.
Yeah, I see this maybe popping in early game, maybe even.
Early game, that could be beautiful.
It just makes
you're
3
making
runs
the runs
and
anyway,
boom.
And yeah, that could
you're
be
there.
good. I'm back and forth on that.
I probably wouldn't. I don't know. I wouldn't put it in right off the bat. I don't like scoring though. Then we have. It makes sense if we want to talk about. We have a Shaper piece of ice breaking goodness. It costs 4. It's 1 MU.
Snowball.
It's a program. It's icebreaker. It's called Snowball. And what it does is that you can pump its strength by 1 for 1 credit, so pretty standard. Costs 1 to break a barrier subroutine, pretty standard. But whenever you use Snowball to break a subroutine, it has +1 strength for the remainder of the run.
Ludicrous. First off, okay, so 4. Let's just think about this. +1 strength, break a barrier. That's as good as you got.
That's a good barrier breaker right there.
It's a
It starts
great
at
barrier
1
breaker.
strength though, so it takes a little bit of juice.
But what's awesome about this is if you use what's the Shaper
Tinkering?
card? Tinkering.
Yeah, dude.
Because now he busts through something small up front, like some little thing, and he's just a beast, and he can go through and nail.
Go
big
through all
things.
barriers.
That is going in my deck.
All right, it's a great card. It's only 2 influence. It's not bad.
Well,
Not a
and
bad breaker
before
at
all they had was the battering ram
Right.
as far as barrier breaker. So this is.
Yeah, and this is only 1 MU. Yeah, I think it's way better than battering ram actually. I would see that.
I'm a fan.
All right, so then we have a neutral runner card, the Dyson memory chip. Simple hardware, costs 3 +1 MU +1 to your link, your base link.
I'm a fan. Solid card. I
Yeah.
don't think it'll make it in every deck, but it will.
Some
make
decks will want it, some decks will not. Now let's get to the Corp cards. We're going to start out with Haas Bioroid. They have a new asset. It costs 0, called the Encryption Protocol. Trash cost of all installed cards is increased by 1. Well. Now, is anyone going to put this in their deck? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. Huh.
What if there were some really good assets that were coming out that you could install?
I mean, maybe eventually they will. But right now, you're looking at Adonis campaigns, pad campaigns. I don't think anyone's going to spend the card slots, the time. Yeah. And it's an asset, right? So it's taking up a valuable server slot. I'm just saying.
It's a card.
I'm just saying. It may get quite good later on. Or maybe I'm missing something, which has happened every time I've said anything.
That art. Oh, that's great.
Oh, man.
Sherlock
What?
1.0.
Sherlock 1.0.
Sentry has Bioroid piece of ice. Says the runner may spend a click to break any subroutine on it. Typical. It has 2 trace force. The first one, if successful, add 1 installed program to the top of the runner's stack. So you're taking the program, putting it back. If successful, add 1 installed program to the top of the runner's stack. So that's nasty.
2 traces that are clogging up the deck. Now, is this as good as trashing a program, though? Deck clogging in Netrunner is not quite the same because you don't want them to have the icebreaker at all. You don't want them to see it again. It gives you another couple turns of...
Still, I mean, the fact that, maybe the next piece of ice is a Sentry and you can put their Sentry Breaker back and it may cost them 6
They've gotta pay,
or 5 or
they've
4
gotta
or
pay
whatever
for
it
it.
is, and they've got to, that's what they're going to draw, and that's the clicks they have to spend. That's a great card.
Rabbit Hole gets better and better every day.
So now we get to the big card of this pack.
Jinteki Identity, and I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's worth seeing. The new Identity has Bioroid, had one last pack, which was +1 strength on all ice, which is just ludicrous. Still have not seen that in play yet, though, surprisingly. I've played a ton in Netrunner, but no one is liking it. So read us what this new identity, replicating perfection.
Standard 45-15 as far as deck size and influence, but the runner cannot run on remote servers. Ignore this ability until the end of the turn whenever the runner runs on a central server. So basically, this is going to cost them a click anytime they want to run on an outside server. They can make a run at your deck, archives, or HQ, and if they do, obviously they could stop, but it's going to force them to at least use a click in the wrong direction to even get to remote servers, which might not even be agendas.
Yeah.
Solid. Very solid.
I mean, because, yeah, sometimes like the net damage one is just kind of underwhelming.
They have to score for that to happen.
Right.
This is clicks every turn.
It's pretty cool.
So now we get to another agenda for Jinteki.
Yes.
Which is the Fetal AI. And
it's on the cover of the pack.
it is the cover of the pack. It costs 5 to score. It gets you 2 points. And it reads, if it is accessed from R&D, the runner must reveal it.
Oh, like a snare. What?
When the runner accesses it, do 2 net damage. Ignore this ability if the runner accesses Fetal AI from archives. So no matter what, if they access it, unless it's in your discard pile, it's 2 net damage. As an additional cost to steal it, the runner has to pay 2 credits. So they access from your deck. They're going
They're taking 2 net
to
damage.
take 2 net damage.
Yeah.
And to score it, they're going to have to pay 2 credits. The worst would be if you see it, you can't score it because you have no credits left, take 2 net damage, and you know your opponent gets to put it right back on the deck.
So anytime they access this outside of archives, they take 2 net damage, have to pay 2, and they always have to pay 2 to steal it, right?
Always.
So this is a really cool. It's a 5 cost agenda, only at 2, so it costs a lot for the Corp to res it, but it's kind of safe.
It's so low risk, right?
It's kind of safe.
If I put 2, if I advance it twice, and then you run on it and score it, I'm kind of okay with it.
Yeah, not a big deal. Trick of the Light.
Oh.
Excellent card. Jinteki getting the love this pack.
Amazing. So it's 3 influences splash, which sucks. But it costs 1 credit, and what does it do?
It's an operation. You can move up to 2 advancement tokens from a card to another installed card that can be advanced.
As the resident Wayland dude, I love this. I have a lot of ice I can advance, so being able to advance, an ice wall 2 or 3 times, then all of a sudden on one turn I'm like, pay 1, move it, it's advanced twice, I scored a priority wreck without even trying. Also worth noting, I can build up an ice wall and then all of a sudden transfer it to a Hadrian's Wall or any other piece of ice that can be advanced. Love it. Absolutely love it.
I mean, this goes hand in hand with things like Brain Trust. It goes hand in hand with things like
Junebug?
Project Junebug. Oh, they're not falling for my trap. Well, I'm not going to waste those clicks in advance. I'm going to throw them onto my agenda and score.
Absolutely wonderful.
It's really good. That's a really good card. Then we have another Jinteki Ice 3-cost Sensei. It's a code gate. It's a 5-strength code gate. The only thing it says is, for the remainder of this run, each piece of ice encountered except Sensei gains subroutine into the run after all its other subroutines. So every piece of ice after Sensei has an in the run tacked onto the end of it, which is ludicrous.
So we got a 5-strength code gate first off. We need to address that. Not the easiest thing to get past.
So good. Only one influence, guys.
So you drop it up front, and then you've got a couple ice walls, and then just get extra in the runs. Or you have like a Neural Katana that all of a sudden has an in the run, kind of the weakness of that ice. That's a great card.
All the Hasbioroid, go through all
That's
this.
a good card.
All this morass of trashing programs and tracing, and then it's like, and then in the run, ludicrous. Big Brother, 0-cost operation for NBN. Play only if the runner is tagged. Give the runner 2 tags. Excellent synergy with things like psychographics. This is there's been some NBN cards that you can't really play because people don't hang on to tags. They may have one, but they're going to drop it as soon as they can. You can start stacking tags up on it with Big Brother and make those other cards sing a lot better. So
solid card for NBN. I don't know if that'll be splash. Only 1 influence, but
I don't know if I'll even play it in NBN. I'm just saying. Chilo or Chilo, probably Chilo. Kylo? Citygrid, costs 3. It's an upgrade. It's a region. NBN has a lot of regions, which is cool. Whenever there's a successful trace during a run on this server, give the runner 1 tag.
Love it. I love it.
Costs 6 to trash.
Wayland loves this card.
Are you just going to scorch earth me again?
No, I mean, yeah, that's fine. But Wayland loves this card because they do so many traces. And really the thing of the tag is the threat of the tag.
Right.
They've got to pay 2 and use a click to get rid of
resources,
it.
man.
Love it. Trash cost of 6.
No one's going to
pay 6
to pay 6 to trash this.
Oh, it's awful.
They have to, but no one's going to do it.
They have to, but they can't.
All right. This is excellent. Then we go to Wayland, finally. The Power Grid Overload operation costs 1. Play only if the runner made a successful run during his or her last turn. Okay. Trace 2.
Oh, so I can just randomly
I
make a
use
trace.
randomly trace. If successful, trash one piece of hardware with an install cost equal to or less than the amount by which your trace strength exceeded the runner's link strength. Only a 1 influence, so this is going to see a lot of play in other places. Basically, you initiate a trace. If it's a really good trace, then it happens. And however much you win the trace by is however much you can trash a piece of hardware. This is the first time we've ever seen where you can trash hardware, yeah?
It is.
And so that's a big deal because a lot of the hardware is excellent. Then we have the Amazon Industrial Zone, a region for Wayland. It's an upgrade. And you want to go in, it's 4 costs. Yep. Tell us what it does.
1 influence, 2 to trash. Whenever you install a piece of ice protecting this server, you immediately res it, lowering its res cost by 3.
What?
That is ludicrous, my friends. -3. All of my really good ice is 3 or less. We've got Caduceus. We've got the Ice Wall. We've got Static Wall. I mean, it's great. So
even just putting a Hadrian's in,
install a
-3.
piece of this card, immediately 3 I've going in my deck. Trash cost of 2. Cost 4 to res, though. I mean, so you need to at least res 1 piece of ice to almost
You got to be
break
rich.
even.
How can Wayland ever be rich?
Wayland has money. Okay, so fantastic card. Why wouldn't this?
Well,
be
I mean, the Amazon Industrial Zone is great, but you are also revealing all of your ice to the runner. So
it's true.
They can plan. They can build up the credits they need. They can put the icebreakers out.
Imagine this thing late game. I've got one server that's all beefed out and great, but then I draw into more Hadrian's Walls and Archers and all that good stuff.
Archers, that's right.
All of a sudden, I can play this card, pop it over, free Caduceus. Cheap ice, and I've got a second server that's just awesome.
Impossible.
And then it's like, oh, well, now I've got 2 really good servers, and what are you going to do? I'm going to put 2 cards down and let you guess.
You're going to have to go for the hand.
Solid card.
All right, so the last 2, we have neutral Corp cards. First is a neutral agenda, Executive Retreat. 5 to develop, 3 agenda points, so it's the same as Priority Rec. And when you score Executive Retreat, place 1 agenda counter on it and shuffle HQ into R&D.
So when you score it, your hand goes into your deck and you shuffle.
Now what are you gonna? What could this hosted agenda counter possibly do?
It has a hosted agenda counter. You can use a click and the hosted agenda counter to draw 5 cards, which I love.
Do you love it?
I do love. I'm picturing this card. Obviously, you've got to ask yourself, priority record this card, because same cost. Which one's better? Free piece of ice or 5 cards in hand. You don't score this card when you have 5 cards in your hand, because then it's But you do score this card when you've got 1 or 2 cards in your hand, and all of a sudden you've got 5 cards again. I love it, and it's at any time. So if you don't have any cards in your hand, nothing good. You let your opponent do their thing. Your next turn comes, you just use a click to draw 5. I'm down. I'm in. I don't know if I'd run 3, but would you run 1 instead of running 3 prior?
I love the art enough to probably just run it.
It's pretty classy. Solid card. I think we get used in certain decks, some not, but I'm.
Finally, we have the Freelancer, costs 0 operation. It does great ops. Some of my favorite stuff. I don't know where that is in the flavor, but I always love the cards. Play only if the runner is tagged. Trash up to 2 resources.
For 0.
For 0.
And a card.
And a card. So typically it's 1 click and 2 resources to trash 1 resource, or 2 credits to trash 1 resource. Now it's 1 click, 1 card to trash 2 resources. Great. Great.
When you consider cards like Liberated Account that just came out, and all the other resources that are
I love trashing Armitage. Ice Carvers.
That could be good. If you're a tagging kind of deck, which I happen to run a tagging kind of deck, that's a solid card.
No contract, just a handshake and a fistful of C6 high explosives. That's the kind of Freelancer I'm talking about.
Now, there's something else going on in the game. Now that we have a neutral agenda, I just want to hit, since we're here for the first time in Netrunner. For the first time ever,
no,
you can run more cards in your deck.
Whoa.
Because you have 3 more neutral agendas at 3 points each. So that ups the max deck size. So we could start seeing bigger Corp decks, which is great and interesting from an odd standpoint, from what you can include standpoint, especially with things that let you search out your deck for certain items.
Yeah, it makes like precog and search HQ. What is that ice that or that agenda that Wayland has that you can search your HQ?
They have aggressive negotiations. When you
Yeah.
score, you can search, but they also have the agenda from the last pack that you can put tokens on to search your deck.
Search, yep.
So we, for the first time, will be seeing bigger decks from the Corp, probably. I don't know if they're viable builds yet, but they are possible now.
They are possible.
So that's something I'm excited about. Really excited to see what everyone comes up with. But again, overall, the rating of this pack, phenomenal.
Through the roof.
Wherever
the
that
art's
rate's
incredible.
on 1 to 10, phenomenal. Can't wait.
Netrunner continues to do it every time.
So We'll be back next month. 2 of us. Never know who you're going to get.
Yeah.
And when the next pack comes out. But this pack is awesome. If you don't have it yet, teamcovenant.com/store. If you're subscribed, your pack will be shipping out today. And if you're local, come in and get it.
Yeah, come in and get it. Thanks for watching, guys. We always love it. And we should have some Netrunner games going up on the YouTube here in the next few weeks or so. So keep an eye on those, and we'll keep loving the game.